In this video, we're going to take a look at the payment function in Excel. It is one of the financial functions, and it is used for two things. The one we're going to look at in this example is how to find the payment on a loan. Okay, we've got an example down here. It says we have a $150,000 loan. We're going to take 30 years to repay it. We're going to make monthly payments, 12 per year. The annual interest rate is 6%, but what we need is the rate per period, so we'll get to that in a minute. Payments are at the end of the month, and that's this value here. It's either a 1 or a 0 for beginning or end. And at the end, the balance should be 0, which means you've paid back all of the loan. So what we have to do in the description here is we have to identify what all these numbers are and then plug them in up here. So $150,000 is going to be the starting balance, the present value. So let's put $150,000 in here. And the number of years is 30. So let's go up here and put in 30. The number of periods per year is 12. The annual interest rate is 6%. The regular payment is what we're trying to find, so I'm going to gray that out. And the ending balance on a loan is always 0 if you pay it all back. And we're going to make our payments at the end of the month. The end of the month is the number 0, and that's down there by default. Okay, so we don't put anything in these two boxes here. What this one does is it takes the annual rate and divides it by the periods per year to compute what the rate per period is. In this case, what the monthly rate is. So if you're doing 6% a year, it's going to be 0.5% per month. And if we look at this formula down here, the number of periods is going to be the number of years times the number of periods per year. So 30 times 12 is 360. Okay, so we've identified everything correctly. Now what we need to do is go over to column E here, and in our answer box, we're going to do the payment function. So let's go to our formulas tab up here. Let's go to the financial functions group, and they're alphabetical. So let's go down to the letter P. And there's the PMT function. It wants to know what the rate is, and down here it says the rate per period. So this name right here is going to match up with the name over here. So this says annual interest rate, this says rate in parentheses. So click on the 0.5. The number of periods is going to be this number here. The label NPER matches the label NPER. The present value is going to be the amount that we're borrowing, and it's labeled PV over here. The future value is 0, and the type is going to be 0. So it tells us that our payment is going to be $899 and about 33 cents. So let's click on OK. And payment is always negative in every single one of these financial functions problems. So it's red, it's in parentheses, so Excel is telling you twice that you've got a negative number here. If you don't want that number to show up as a negative number, just go to the beginning and to the left of the letter P, put a minus sign in there. Okay. So if you come up with a funny looking number here, well, for one thing, if you come up with a positive number, you know it's not right, because it's always going to be a negative number. So that's one clue. If this number looks ridiculous, what you can do is you can go back and you can change this to something really simple. Okay, let's do something like 10%, which is a pretty easy number to calculate. Let's do 1 year. Let's do 12 periods per year. Let's just do $1,000. And so our payment here would be $87 a month. And if we take that and we multiply it times, E10 times 12, we should get a little more than $1,000. So if it's a 10% rate for the whole year, and we're paying it off as we go, you know, the average rate is going to be about 5% over the course of the year, 5% of the total. So our number here should be around 1,050, and it's close to 1,050. So we're probably doing it correctly. So you plug in some simple numbers here and see if you get an answer that makes sense. With some other numbers like we had, let me just undo a bunch of things here until I get back to where I was before. Okay. It's kind of hard to tell if that's a reasonable number or not. Now, if you end up with, you know, numbers like $1 million to try and pay off a $150,000 loan, clearly something is wrong. But plugging in some real simple numbers here that you can almost do in your head is another way to go back and try and check and see if you've done things correctly. One nice thing about the way we've done this is because, again, we used cell references in every single one of our arguments. If we want to change the numbers, we don't have to change this formula. All we have to do is go up here and change the numbers, and they will automatically be recalculated for us. So once you've done this once, you can figure out the payment on any problem at all. Just go over here and change the numbers. You don't have to make a single change in the formula.